Reviled by critics who called this film a crock, and even claimed it was a waste of film stock. But if you're pissed on St. Patty's and need something to mock, you might be in the mood for this brand of schlock. I'm Kevin. This is Haunted by Horror, and today we're talking about the 1993 film, The Leprechaun. This is a movie about a killer leprechaun. It's the kind of movie that you watch while you're sitting around drinking with friends. It was never going to win any Oscars, but critics particularly hated this movie. Although it did go on to make $8.6 million at the box office on a budget of less than $1 million. But really, it was after releasing on video that it really did well. It made $15 million on videotape and DVD sales and led to a franchise which spans 8 films and made Warwick Davis into a horror icon. The film was originally meant to be more of a straightforward horror film, but for younger audiences, which seems unusual since most horror movies targeted towards younger audiences tend to have quite a bit of humor, like Monster Squad or The Gate. It just would have been an odd approach. But luckily, Warwick Davis sought to add a more comedic element, and Mark Jones agreed with this tonal shift, and they shot it as a horror comedy. Later on, the producers insisted that they do reshoots, which added more gruesome death sequences into the film in order to appeal to older audiences. And both of these seem to have been good decisions, as those are two of the main things that people like about this film and the franchise in general. And in my opinion, this film probably would have failed with audiences as much as it did with critics if they had not made those changes. However, this did lead to a movie that seems to struggle with tone. Often the comedy is very slapsticky and even downright cartoonish, which seems at odds with the more violent deaths that were added through the reshoots, and makes it difficult to view the leprechaun as a credible threat. His costume also doesn't help with this. The makeup is really good, but the buckled hat and shoes with the green striped tights and pink breeches look more like a parade costume than something an evil leprechaun would be wearing. Overall, the acting isn't great. However, Warwick Davis's rhyming catchphrases are certainly a highlight of the film. It's pretty clear that he had a great time playing this part, and his portrayal of the leprechaun is what makes this film work. And the friendship between Alex and Ozzy adds a wholesome element rarely seen in the horror genre. However, my favorite scene is probably this one.
Are you okay? I heard you scream. Oh.
I thought that was you rubbing my leg.
You let me?
Something was rubbing my leg, like caressing it. Dad, that was not an animal. Okay, I know what it feels like when a man caresses my leg.
You do?
I like to imagine that while everything's going on with the leprechaun, JD is just really freaking out that he's stuck in the hospital while Tori is off with Nathan doing who knows what. And meanwhile, they're being attacked by a leprechaun. While you would think that a horror movie about a leprechaun would be set in Ireland, this movie is actually set in North Dakota, presumably due to budgetary constraints, which works fine. However, I really would have liked to have seen Dan O'Grady's first interaction with the leprechaun. We do learn that he somehow captured him while in Ireland for his mother's funeral and stole 100 gold pieces. After this, the leprechaun follows him home and kills his wife before O'Grady's able to lock him in a crate, held at bay by a 4-leaf clover, because apparently the leprechaun can be repelled by a freshly plucked 4-leaf clover, the way that vampires are traditionally repelled by crucifixes and garlic. but it has to be a plucked four-leaf clover. Four-leaf clover still in the ground won't work. Otherwise, it would make crossing the yard extremely difficult for the leprechaun. However, before O'Grady can kill Lubden, he magically gives O'Grady a stroke. I don't know how that works, but that's what happens. 10 years later, J.D. Redding and his daughter Tori rent the O'Grady property for the summer and arrive to assist a small crew in fixing up the farmhouse. When one of the workers they hire accidentally releases the leprechaun, and he goes on a murderous rampage to reclaim his gold. They originally filmed a scene in which the leprechaun eats Lucky Charms, which parent company General Mills approved of. But when General Mills saw the finished product, they were so upset by the tone of the film that they revoked permission to use the Lucky Charms brand. And the scene was reshot with the generic Lucky Clovers brand as a parody. And Alex's line at the end of the film was changed from "Your luck just ran out" to "Fuck you, Lucky Charms," as a fuck you to Lucky Charms. As ridiculous as the franchise gets as it progresses, there's no denying that Lubden the Leprechaun has become a horror icon, just as recognizable and beloved as any of the giants of the genre, including Freddy and Chucky, who deliver as much humor as horror and keep fans coming back sequel after sequel. If you're looking for a campy, gimmicky horror movie this St. Patrick's Day, this is the one. I mean, what else are you going to watch? The Leprechaun's Curse? Alright, well, thank you for watching my video. You can hit the little like button. You can subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And turn on notifications. And then YouTube will update you every time I upload a video. Alright. Have a good night. Happy St. Patrick's Day.